Welcome back to Inside the Coverage, a collaboration between myself and EA Edgar Allen. I want to thank you all for joining us once again. This is a fun one, a little bit more fun than last week's post-game summary. Obviously, against the Bills, the Ravens win 41-17. Really, we're both in agreement here. I think that Joe Flacco and the Browns offense really did not come in with a solid game plan, or they didn't adjust well to what we were doing defensively. First of all, EA, thank you for joining me once again. How fun was the game to watch for you compared to the Bills game the week before?
My pleasure. Thanks for having me here. They're all fun, Coach. Uh, watching the coverages after the fact is fun. Really impressed with the way that the defense played on the back end in particular. Just easy communication, no terribly obvious blunders.
Right.
But honestly, watching this game, I really didn't have any doubts. Did you? Was there any point in the game where you thought, well, maybe the Browns can do something?
I mean, even the moments when they, we wasted the touchdown to Hopkins, the 49-yard pass that was ruled a touchdown and then down at the one, and then we don't get the touchdown. I just felt like our defense was we were taking away the things that they wanted to do, which there's been times in the past year plus with Zach Orr as the DC. There's been times where we haven't done that, where I feel like there's been times where we just call defenses, just call a coverage.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily adjust on field with player movement post snap or communication pre snap to try to get in the right look. Essentially, we were just calling coverages and not adjusting to what the offense showed from a formation standpoint. I feel like, and you're going to show a play later that I think that you call flood, where we're definitely adjusting the coverage, shifting it over a little bit, if you will, because of to recognize or match the threat of the three receivers. I think it was a really wide umbrella of coverages that were used, and like you said in the pre-show, they all executed, they all filled their roles, their responsibilities in each coverage. It seemed to be one where you would think the defense would grade out pretty high from a coverage standpoint, right?
Yeah, and I think you mentioned the asks. What these players were being asked to do was so varied in terms of coverages throughout the game, and very, very minimal in the way of kind of missteps or miscues on the back end. Everybody just sort of doing their job. That cliche, but everybody was. That's the way it seemed.
One play to the next. They were definitely, you have Buchanan, even a rookie, and other guys were one play they're asked to do something that's, widely different task than the very next snap. So in a 2-snap sequence, they're asked to do two totally different things. The reads are different. I did feel like Roquan on 3 plays in the first half was kind of almost telling Buchanan, what was coming. And you could even see a couple of them from the end zone angle. So those guys did a nice job at inside. All 3 of them, in fact. I thought Simpson, played well as well. And I think I might have one play in here, his tackle on Njoku into the boundary. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over 6 or 7 coverage plays, what we think they are from a coverage standpoint for the Ravens and how they're trying to match up with the Browns, who, let's be honest, they're very limited offensively. This is not to have this offense sandwiched between the Bills with Josh Allen and the Lions coming up next week. I don't think it's fool's gold, but I will say that the better competition, the better quarterbacks you play, right, the more they're going to be able to exploit some of the things we're doing. Nonetheless, we thought our guys played pretty well. All right, going to add your first play here, and I think you've got the touchdown missed catch by Marlon, right?
Yep, this is the fluky touchdown. We get one of these a week.
Yeah.
This is a 3-man rush. We're all solid up front here. Before the ball snaps,
4th down, right?
4th down and 3. One of the things you'll notice in terms of these droppers, specifically Mike Green to this side here, and Teddy Buchanan. We saw this throughout the games. They're really on short yardage or 4th and short or 3rd and short in particular, going to drop from the line, get underneath what they perceive to be inside breaking routes, take away these quick little hooks or inside hits. And you see that here. You see Mike really underneath this route inside. we may get a look at what Flacco's looking toward to see if he's looking for either one of these. Again, it's 4th and 3. You see Teddy absolutely collisioning that in-breaking route right there. And that looks to be perhaps what Joe's reading.
Yes, 100%.
You can see, too, some interesting communication here. I believe if we're watching the top of the screen with Kyle, let's see. I think it goes back right there. Talking to Wiggins about this shift inside by the tight end. And they're talking about whether or not to switch or play these banjo in-out rules. It's neat to see Kyle kind of directing that. And
he's on another level. I think he's on another level.
Yep. And he's just your favorite player, your favorite player's favorite player. What he is.
Yes. He's going to get the interception here if Marlon doesn't touch it, right?
Oh yeah, the coverage is great. Coverage is great here. It's double move. So 44. This guy was a horse in college.
Yeah.
What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Fanning.
Yeah, Fanning. He's a horse. But double move on Kyle. I don't think so. Kyle's right with him. But those two kind of really discussing that coverage and being sure, being certain about it. There's no uncertainty. Wiggins gets kind of turned around here because the receiver gets kind of turned around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the receiver got KO'd or almost knocked off balance. Excuse me.
Yeah. I'm impressed with Buchanan generally throughout. I'm impressed with Mike Green, the things they're asking him to do. This is a double rat call. In other words, they're playing cover 1 here with only 3 rushers and 2 guys responsible for these low hole
taking it
tossers. And actually, you really could think of it as 3 with a read on the back. So these 3 defenders across the middle are going to be responsible for the back, depending on where he takes off. You can see Mike Green go to cover him. Just again, really pleased with what they're asking Mike Green to do and how easy he is to do it.
It's almost like if that running back had released to the boundary, then we suspect that Buchanan is going to take him over. I thought the guys did a great job of handling, like you said, those shorter routes, but particularly into the boundary. I have one to show later where Hamilton's just kind of sitting down, into the boundary in front of the tight end or right on the tight end's hip, and Flacco's like, "Okay, no, I'm not going there."
Right.
So, do you have the end zone view?
Yeah.
Marlon made fun of himself on social media for dropping it, I think.
Now, I looked for a closer angle on this, Coach. It looked like 44, not Marlon, but the tight end. It looked like he got a fingertip on the ball.
Okay.
To me, and he maybe not, because if Marlon's making fun of himself, I didn't see it. If I'm correct, I didn't see it as a drop. It looked like he got a fingertip as he's running by and flipped the ball that way.
Does it show up well on this angle?
It does not. It's probably a let's look at the broadcast kind of thing, but yeah.
I see what you mean.
So we come off the ball. We get a little twist.
With the 3-man rush. Interesting.
Here on this rush. Who's that up?
So happy that we were, disrupting and getting in the way of Njoku, not allowing him those cheap little catches underneath where he can just get ahead of steam. Not that he's not a talented player, but his work against us is generally when he's absolutely uncovered, underneath, and then he turns and he's got a head of steam or he catches it on the run. I was so happy that we disrupted or dislodged his route stems.
Yep, and you can see that clearly here.
Yep.
That drop from Teddy, taking away that inside. Perhaps this is Joe's looking to do a little slant or something here. Really a lot of good read by Roquan. He's getting across the middle as well.
Yeah, I don't like either one of our young inside linebackers lined up at edge defender. It's now them dropping out, to the boundary is good. This is productive, but those 2 guys get 0 done when they're asked to rush the quarterback off the edge. They're even less than Malik Harrison did, right? And he wasn't never a pass rush guy. Simpson's got the athleticism, but neither one of those guys is getting anything done from a rush standpoint where he's located right now.
Coach, don't you just love the way Mike Green drops here? Watch this drop.
He's so smart.
He's ready to spring into action instantly, downhill after the back.
He's very disciplined, if you ask me, Green.
Yeah. Hold going on here, it looks like.
Yeah. It's the NFL, man.
Yep. And you can see Joe kind of falls away from almost every throw in this game right there.
Yep.
I mean, just Joe did. We were talking about this earlier. He did not want to be out there. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. If it were anyone else besides Joe Flacco, you might say, hey, that guy didn't want to get hit. He didn't want to get hit because there was at least 6 or 8 situations like you just described where maybe other guys are going to move their feet a little bit, slide to the left or slide to the right. So you got the other play, the empty flood for cover 3.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think I was impressed. They obviously get the field goal on the 7th possession, but man, 6 stops, 6 possessions in a row, we're getting stops. Lights out on defense. I don't think that's going to be the same story every week. We're going to face a really high level quarterback this week, Jared Goff, and super talented guys. The level of talent that we're going to see between the Lions offense and the Browns offense is night and day. So we'll have to be even better. But I think we were sharp, and I think that's kind of illustrated by the way that Roquan and Hamilton played, especially early.
Oh yeah, it's sort of, that's the thing. I think you're just kind of waiting to see how this translates going forward. It's probably not going to be this effective, meaning the coverages and
6 stops in a row is very rare.
Yeah.
It's empty, right?
So this is empty. Let's see the down and distance on this thing. Second and 9. They end up gaining 8 yards here. So pretty good pickup. Another call from Kyle. The first thing I would call this a flood coverage, a cover 3 flood coverage. We do see kind of real serious at the bottom of our screen, man coverage eyes, more zone coverage looks to the top side of the field here, or top side of the picture rather. I think they're cognizant very much so about 3 to this side, which is Njoku.
Njoku, right.
Yeah. Again, they're very cognizant about keeping eyes to him. We do see Roquan widen a little bit off the ball. As soon as this guy crosses or runs a deep or over, that becomes our weak hook player in coverage.
He's doing a nice job there, Matt. Who is that?
That's Teddy.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, again, just like Mike, this stuff looks easy. Like there's no second guessing. Really pleased by that. Kyle, this is the idea of flood to me, is that we see Kyle kind of a midfield player, but kind of lined up over 3. So they're a little bit heavier to that 3 receiver side than otherwise. Not sure what we see here, in terms of Starks.
Yeah, two's kind of sitting in, but he's got 3 from the other side. I wondered during the game, and I do now, if some of the reactions that we had was based on Njoku. To be honest with you, not that Tillman and Judy aren't talented dudes, but hey, where's Waldo, right? Where is Njoku, and then how are we going to react to him within the coverage structure? And I think those guys did a pretty good job. Hamilton taking him away multiple times. Buchanan here is, either seeing the quarterback and opening to that side, or he's just predetermined opening to that side because Njoku's over there. I don't know.
I think this is a play designed to either get Njoku. In other words, I think they see some kind of 3 coverage here out of empty, because this is a successful play. This is the sort of hit that you will see Mahomes do.
Yep. Where
we're covering Kelsey in a similar manner inside.
He takes it to the boundary. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take 8. Right. And Joe, this is what Joe's reading. He's reading what happens with that weak hook player.
Yeah. If Buchanan doesn't open and go with it, almost the way that he does it, I'm not saying it's this coverage, but the way that Buchanan opens and goes, it almost starts to look like a Tampa 2 guy turning and running in the middle of the field. And that's not what it is at all. But because of that makes the guy open to the boundary. So, yeah, interesting the way that we played it and focused on Njoku, which was, to good effect. That's where Joe wanted to go with the ball a lot of times, is him and Fanning.
Yep. This is a good, effective play for the Browns, no question about it, and a quality read. I do wonder about, what we see out of Starks here. He does look like perhaps he's looking to undercut something in breaking outside. Right. Maybe guess this a little bit. This is.
Yeah. That's one that when I saw it live, I thought, why are we getting depth and leaving that open underneath? So, it'd be interesting. And this is one of my problems with like PFF and other stuff is that they're grading some of these guys on their reactions, but Buchanan could be reacting to Njoku from a game plan standpoint. That might be what they want him to do.
Yeah.
Other coaches, in fact, one that I know very well would say Buchanan's getting too much depth here, and that's his fault. So I don't feel comfortable grading that because we don't know what the adjustment is that they're making here. In my opinion, we don't know what it is. So that's one of my problems with applying a numerical grade for each player, each game, when you have zero idea what the game plan was.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay what we see out of Starks here. I think he's, the idea here with these guys is to rally.
Yeah.
They really don't care. Short little pickup underneath, they don't really care. But this is, picks up 8.
Empty with an unathletic quarterback. Kind of, I feel like is an advantage for the defense. Empty with an athlete at quarterback, we always felt like, they could have a little bit of an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna focus on some of the stuff from early in the game when we're kind of pitching a shutout. Now the Browns did get a big gain, like maybe 20 yards or something on the first possession, I think, when we eventually force a punt. So I thought 12 personnel was a big deal in this game. I thought that 12 personnel and the way we handled it was important. This is the two plays I'm going to show here is actually 11 personnel. So this first one is from the first possession, and I'm going to try to spot shadow the tight ends each time in like burgundy or orange, whatever that is. So it's trips up. Originally, I thought this was to the boundary when I labeled it because I try to track it during the game. But you can see that the ball is in the middle of the field. So it's going to be a screen, and this is just a great reaction from Hamilton, yes. But it's also, I think, he's pre-rolling down. So, yes, it's a great play from Hamilton against this screen. I'm not discounting that at all. But the call happens to get him coming forward anyway. It's, unbelievable finish in terms of the tackle, sets the tone. But if you pull this back a little bit to at the snap, you'll see that Buchanan is rushing, and I think we're dropping out Oweh. So normally when we're dropping out of OLB from one side, Oweh, and bringing the backer from this side, then we're spinning down a safety. So this is kind of predetermined, if you ask me. This isn't all just a read from Hamilton. So as a result, this offensive lineman that's supposed to go get him, he can't because Hamilton's a little further down than he, quote, would be if he wasn't part of dropping down to replace Buchanan. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Originally, live, I thought Hamilton made this play from depth, and I was like, whoa, how did he get there from depth? Well, he didn't. He was spinning down. I think we've, got some type of exchange. Buchanan's going to blitz. Van Noy is off the edge, and Oweh is dropping out. We are really good at this stuff. We are generally. I would like to see us have some type of collision with this running back, but in that split second making that decision, hey, you see the quarterback, and so you're not sure what to do. But when you see it open wide up and the running back go past you, it's very difficult, to recognize what to do instantly. So to second guess him here, I feel like is a little bit unfair. It's a nice design, but the problem is Hamilton was spinning downhill, and Hamilton's got incredible range. You can see that if Hamilton is another 4 yards further back this way, this is set up.
Yeah.
And that's solely because, we're blitzing the inside linebacker, but Hamilton is spinning down at the appropriate time, at the right time. And that is that's giving him an opportunity to make the play.
He made a play similar. Well, he was more of a one, like a hole dropper in cover one later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
3rd and 6, where he made another play and read it downhill. But this is, he's pretty unusual. I think,
Mm-hmm.
what to your point about recognizing the screen by Buchanan. I'm not sure like what you would ask a rookie to do there. Just keep getting
tough.
that. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough.
But it's like Kyle, if you watch his eyes from the end zone angle or watch him, how quickly he reads screen here. I mean, how quickly he reads exactly what's going on with the back. Not too many players are going to make that play.
No, he's put in a great position. I do wonder about, us what we're doing as far as dropping Oweh out. It looks to me like Oweh should be dropping to this hook to curl. Roquan would, theoretically be this hook to curl, and then Kyle curl flat, and then I think that's Marlon up to the top side. So basically, it would start looking like a cover 3.
Who's in the deep part? Is that Starks? Middle?
Yeah, Starks. Yeah.
What do you think of his depth there? That cross, that inside receiver again. There's some space to hit that throw. Obviously, that's not the call. But what do you think of the deep safeties?
I think it's all related to this OLB. It's tough to get requisite depth when you're lined up at the line of scrimmage and you're reading run pass. If it's run, obviously always not dropping out. If it's run, the left tackle is going to step to him in some form or fashion, a base block, a reach block, whatever. And so he's got to react to that. So he's reading run pass first. Oh, it's pass. So perhaps his recognition of this is a little slow, and Oweh's feet shouldn't be here. They should be, realistically somewhere in that area. You might turn your back and run. But in any case, I think Starks and Hamilton are just trying to not give this away until the ball is snapped. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I will say that from a posture standpoint, Starks doesn't give things away. Some guys will give it away, and if the quarterback happens to be looking at you pre-snap, he could maybe see you moving in one direction. A couple of our other younger guys kind of do give things away in terms of their intentions pre-snap translating to post-snap. Mm-hmm. So I got one more that's this is from the third possession, and I think it's a 2nd and 6. That blue line illustrates, the ball's on the right hash for the offense. Hamilton's rolled down here to the tight end, okay? It's a 3rd and 6. It's only one tight end on the field, and Njoku's not on the field. So Fanning, the only guy that's out there. I liked it when we had either Hamilton rolled up or when he was at depth, and then he would step down, and Flacco at least 4 or 5 times I thought was looking at the tight end into the boundary. And because Hamilton was there, he was dissuaded or deterred from doing so. Roquan blitzes, and it frees up Oweh. Oweh gets a free run right to the quarterback hit. And then this is Marlon's really nice break down on kind of like a little sit route by this guy. And then I think he's kind of bringing this route, the other receiver in. And Marlon's seeing the ball thrown. It's a 4-man rush because, once again, we are dropping out Van Noy, dropping out Awuzie, and then bringing 2 guys off the other edge. So we're really making a concerted effort, I think, to give Joe a ton of looks early in the game. And I think we're in agreement here. There were times later in the game where Flacco's getting rid of the ball quick, and he didn't necessarily have to. I think he's being influenced by the calls early in the game, kind of like a fighter who was hit with a jab or a lead straight early in a fight, and now every time his opponent flinches in the same manner, he kind of moves, and he's got no ability to develop his own offense because everything is reactionary.
He's thinking about it.
Yeah, and he's thinking, what is it actually going to be? And I wonder if that's why Flacco took so many short throws. Like, I don't know what this is. Let me just get rid of this, and let's take a 4-yard gain if we can get one. This is the same blitz. Roquan, like I said, is blitzing, free rush from Oweh, and then these 2, Awuzie and Van Noy, are dropping out. I think it's pretty incredible that we were able to pick up Awuzie for the price point that we did. I didn't think he looked real active last week at dime linebacker, and then he played, and he played well against the Bills. Don't get me wrong, but his feet look slow. This week looked fantastic at outside corner. I thought gave up a couple of catches to Judy, but smart player, involved against the run game. What did you notice anything out of Awuzie? I like him as a player, so I'm probably a little bit biased.
He's running the seam here too, right, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So he's the middle player. Yeah. He just seems to be somebody they're comfortable moving around and asking to do different things.
Yep.
And I bet he's happy to be here. That's the impression I get.
Yep. 4-man rush. I agree. He reminds me of Van Noy in a way, like a veteran who's probably happy to be here in this environment, and how successful we are. But that was one that was notable to me for a lot of reasons. We got a free rusher, so it worked, number 1. Marlon breaking down on this quickly to make contact, number 2. And then the ability to drop out. It's almost like we drop out whoever the heck we want, right? In this case, it happened to be Van Noy and Awuzie. We're almost interchangeable at times defensively with who we can ask to do
right.
certain things.
You saw that all game. Just who's going to drop, who's going to come, what's the look. Very hard to figure out. Easy to mess up on the defensive side, but they didn't seem to.
Flacco's, to me, seemed to be trying to process that information pre-snap as best he could. But another thing I want to point out. Also, were you going to show a 3 sky week cover 3 one?
Yeah.
Because I had a cover 3 to maybe go over, but I'll let you take it instead. Another thing about Flacco that I noticed is the cadence was the same timing on pretty much every snap.
Huh.
And I felt like our guys knew when they could start moving to get a half a step. When we're giving them a different look pre-snap, trying to obfuscate the pre-snap appearance, and then changing something post-snap. I felt like because his cadence was the same, we rarely gave it away. And so to me, it just seemed like something at the NFL level that someone on the Browns staff should have said, hey, we need to change the cadence here, hard count, whatever, so that they show us the look, and then Joe feels more comfortable because now he knows the look post-snap that he's going to get. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. This is let's see. I don't have the down and distance on this one. Oh,
this is the 3 sky week, right? Yeah.
3 sky week. What we mean by that is we're going to show 2 pre-snap, meaning like these 2 safeties on the back end, half field look at least, off coverage from the corners. And then we're going to get Kyle rotating up top and be in the middle of the field safety. And
Starks
post-snap. He's going to play the curl flat.
Sits down, yeah. Oh, looks good there. You get like a nice straight line for the second level defenders.
Mm-hmm. Right?
There. Yeah.
And I tell you, one of the reasons I pulled this play or wanted to talk about this play, you get that same sort of idea of somebody dropping it. Again, it's away.
Yep.
And you get this pressure off the edge that nobody picks up. Actually, you'll see the Browns, I don't know if this is a call, but you'll see them slide protection opposite. And, you see Joe there. Joe has no interest at
Turn
all
back
in finding an open receiver or getting hit. He's not interested in that.
Agreed.
This is one of the reasons I wanted to pull this play is I think it's a very dangerous look for us in that you'll see both of these in particular with
the seam.
In particular this seam, this guy's going to be open. And that's a Mahomes special right there against this coverage. I think it may be, Coach, that we're dropping into this coverage a little bit too much against doubles, against trips even. And I think that we're going to see multiple verticals in hopes that we see this coverage, that the opposition sees this coverage. So
you're talking about opposed to like a match with the curl, like with Starks, so on a vertical. So
Starks should,
top side, yeah.
I'm sure he's playing the call here, but perfect world, he's matching that vertical route.
And we get some, and if there is a throw there, if Flacco or whoever the quarterback is does have the ability to throw it there, at least we have a chance, an opportunity to defend it. It's got to be a well-thrown ball in a match situation versus this. If they could remove the free rusher, is it Green that gets the pressure?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Yeah.
So it's the same blitz. It's the same blitz that Owe got the free rusher on the play that I showed, right? The inside linebackers blitz and there's a free rusher, and it's literally the same thing. It seemed like I wasn't as impressed with the Browns' offensive line as I have been in previous years.
No. Watch Buchanan as he kind of moves up. Watch the tackle. His eyes in particular. It's fairly subtle. Right there.
So he's a little early for the count. I think
I see him moving there and cognizant of Buchanan. And what ends up happening here is he has no idea about Green. You see the back pick up the rush. You see him pick up the rush, and Green's free. You can see the protection gets slid to the other side.
Yeah.
So again, to your point, just not a lot of, I don't know. not a lot to be happy about if you're a Browns fan up front, or especially at the quarterback position. Unfortunately for Joe, this is if they're going to get into this kind of call, like to your point, Coach, they've got to match two. I mean, I think you've got
If it's a receiver, then yeah, I think sometimes it depends on the personnel in those situations. If tight end versus receiver or whatever. But I agree, and I think that's one of the weaknesses of of showing so many different looks pre-snap and then altering it and getting to a different coverage post-snap is you're not collisioning anyone. You're out of position to collision someone. It does work here, obviously, and it worked throughout the entirety of this game. But when there's so many moving parts, those guys they don't have requisite leverage to collision people in the manner that, like the Buchanan play that you showed where him and Njoku collided with each other, right? Into the boundary, the touchdown that Marlon either drops or Fanning tips. But the point is there's checks and balances or positives and weaknesses to the way we do things. And at times against certain guys like Mahomes or Josh Allen or whatever, it's worked against us. It worked here in week 2, pretty much throughout the game against Joe.
Yeah, I mean, you're counting on a lot of things going right in this particular play if you're taking into consideration Mahomes or Goff, and for example, the protection breaking down, up front here, the ability of Mahomes to kind of move outside of the pocket and then make freaky throws.
Makes me wonder if the Browns had trouble with that blitz, in week 1 against the Bengals, and that's why we ran it so much. And that's a real dynamic. I mean, the Steelers, the touchdown, the first touchdown for the Seahawks, Torrey Horton against Jalen Ramsey, the exact play call, almost the exact same part of the field that the Jets scored on the Steelers last week. The same concept, same route concept and everything. So, teams see something that works. Okay, we're gonna run it too, because until they can handle it. And the Browns, I didn't think their O-line played well. I'm not impressed with their play calling either. I think that's a team for this season that's really in trouble. And I'm talking about double-digit losses, 12, 14, 15 losses.
Yeah, I heard one of their podcasters say that he had predicted 9 wins this year. It was his prediction to start the year, and he said, "Well, I'm going to have to cut it back. I think it's going to be 7." I was like, "Well, you might want to cut it back a couple more."
A couple more.
Yeah.
I want to show one that is a one-man screen. So it's these two guys working out to the edge. It's one of Roquan's TFLs. What I really like about this is, the ball's on the right hash. So the running back, tight end are set to the field. Now Fanning is also set down into the boundary, to be honest with you. So this is Fanning, and that's Njoku. So it's 12 personnel. And there's the one-man screen. Roquan and Marlon are obviously in man, in my opinion, here, because they're matching it, right? You can see very clearly that you've got 2-on-2. Well, so it's not a screen necessarily because you don't have offensive linemen out there. It's a read. So Joe is looking here first. And to your point from a little bit earlier, you've got Hamilton taking away the tight end into the boundary repeatedly in this game. And that's why I like to illustrate, where the hash is. Like I said, the ball is on the right hash, and then Hamilton is the left side safety. I said this in the preview last week talking about it. I was really interested to see the effectiveness of their tight ends when the ball was on the right hash, because that means Hamilton is to the boundary, versus when the ball's on the left hash, because that means Starks is into the boundary, because we go right and left, right, with our secondary. And in this case, I think Joe is obviously looking here. Oops, sorry about that. Joe is obviously looking here. And because of Hamilton's presence, in addition to that, I think this is Buchanan kind of sitting there underneath in the low hole. Flacco immediately goes away. He didn't want to test Hamilton, number one. And number two, because it's man-free and he's sitting in the low hole, he being Buchanan, then he moves on to this screen to the top side of the field. And Marlon and Roquan are all over it. I thought this was a great job of man-free, getting Joe from one read to the other really quickly. And it's not that it's anything wrong with it. It's just what the Ravens were doing to force him to get rid of the ball so quickly, so often.
You think if let's say if the back release is opposite, do you think Roquan is then dropping to that side, that hook side, to take away Njoku?
I think that's a good question. Where he should be, what's diagrammed up there, then Roquan should be here, right? Mm-hmm. He should be in the low hole area if his man free. But the point that you're making, and I think we kind of talked about it earlier, is because that's Njoku, if the running back does go opposite, do we then end up vacating this middle of the field, which would, of course, possibly give Flacco the opportunity to actually throw the ball to the tight end? So there's no one here. Buchanan's gone because this running back has released in the other way. Sure, yeah, it's entirely possible that from a game plan standpoint, Roquan would still be working over to the right-hand side of the screen. I don't think Roquan would be gone like he is this here, though. I don't think he would be his eyes wouldn't be on Njoku initially. He may hedge to that side. So that's just a game plan thing, right? And I think that's what you're getting to. I do have one more that I'd like to show because it's actually the very next play. What they were doing to Flacco to make things difficult on him post snap. So this is the same play, like I said, it's from the third possession. It's a 1st and 10. So we'll immediately move to the very next snap. After that loss of 4, this is a 2nd and 14. Of course, the ball's on the other hash because remember, Roquan made his tackle up here. So the ball's spotted on the left-hand side. And we're going to play a Tampa 2. The only tight end on the field is now Njoku, so Fanning has come off. It's 11 personnel. And it certainly looks like we're set up to possibly play man here, but we don't. We get into a Tampa 2. I think it's a really nice look in that we drop Marlon out from his nickel DB position, and he basically, from a responsibility standpoint, ends up being a half-field safety along with Hamilton. Yeah. Everybody plays so many different Tampa 2 variations. I love this one because it's the nickel Marlon dropping and basically becoming a safety.
We talked about this last week and how we were seeing things pre-snap that played out post-snap. You're not seeing that as much here.
Yes. Yeah, we felt like it was forecast against the Bills, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the way it flows through, I'm not sure what Flacco's looking at in the middle of the field. I'm not a big fan of screenshots, but you can see his eyes are in the middle of the field for a moment and then just whips the ball out to the side almost kind of carelessly, to be honest with you, in a manner that, I think surprises me. We get a QB hit. It's Owe again. Owe seemed to be a half a step from getting a sack multiple times. So maybe Joe's just got an idea that there's a free rusher here. Maybe he sees Owe, and that's why he's throwing it in this manner. This is a really nice coverage variation, man. I love the Tampa 2. I really do.
I do too. I think he's reading. He's on it a long time. Yeah, he wants that, and he realizes that it's not there.
Yeah. Really nice coverage variation that I'd kind of like to see us use more often. I feel like it's safe. We have a too high safety structure. As long as we don't leave a huge amount of space between these two guys that this inside linebacker can't cover. If you remember, we got beat on this in the playoff game. It was Stevens was running. They call it, running the pipe in between the hashes, and he for a moment turned his head to look at Josh Allen, and that's precisely when Allen said, "Okay, since your head is turned, I'll go ahead and throw it over the top." And it was a big completion to Shakir on a possession where they end up going down and scoring a touchdown. So I love the Tampa 2. I didn't know you did too. So
yeah, because of the variations. I have another play here. I'm interested to see what you think of it. I think it's Tampa. It's another indication here, or another reason that I like it is it shows a breakdown of sorts, just in the way that those two seam routes came open, or could have come open rather. So down in distance, let's see what is this? 2nd and 6. They're 33. Another kind of creeper blitz, if you want to call it that.
Oh yeah.
Again, is this OA dropping?
Yeah, it is.
And it's empty, right? We're in empty or versus empty rather. I think what we see is Buchanan being asked to run the pipe here.
do what Roquan did on the previous play.
Yeah, and then what he does is kind of float away from that when he sees Njoku
sit.
Yep. He doesn't need to do that, and then he turns, takes away this
on the other side
post route running inside here. What's interesting too, in terms of, I don't want to call it a blown thing, but you can see Wiggins here dropping almost half field. And right away, even before Joe looks to that side, just how smart Kyle is. Kyle sees that, right? He's reading, he's getting into his drop half field.
He's telling him, doesn't he?
He's telling him right there. You should be down there by the flat.
He's like pointing to him where he should be in the middle of the play.
2 steps. Yep, in the middle of the play. He's got 2 steps. He doesn't know where Joe is with the ball. He's getting into his drop, but he knows where Nate should be. Nate's like, whoops, guess that's true. And again, 2nd and 6. They pick up, I think they get a first down here.
Yeah. So Roquan did that twice in the game, once with Buchanan and once with Green. The same thing. Roquan, one of them was a screen to Fanning, a little weirdly timed screen concept to Fanning, and he's pointing to him. He's pointing to Green, excuse me, on where Green should be in terms of taking on the block. So can you run it back again and see what we got on the top side?
Yep. So they got 3 to that side, obviously. That's why we're getting Buchanan.
Not nearly as much depth up there, is it, with the corner? Post snap, he's not getting the same depth that Wiggins is. Yeah, that I guess what I was looking for is Wiggins. Yeah, it's absolutely like where you got it paused right now. Wiggins' foot is on the 45.
Yeah.
The corner to the top side is his other foot is on the 40. So you're talking about a 4 to 4.5 yard differential in terms of the center of their body. So Hamilton's pointing to him in the middle of the play.
He's out of position. Yep. Isn't that cool that he's thinking that? A guy that is instinctive but thinks that much too,
He played a brilliant game, I thought. Statistically, it doesn't show up from production, but I thought Hamilton played a brilliant game in terms of taking away routes. So he didn't get targeted. He didn't have any passes defense that I know of. He didn't have any interceptions, obviously, but he played a brilliant game in my opinion because he was asked to do all these different things, and he did them all well enough such that Flacco didn't even throw the football in that area.
This is just my opinion, and I don't watch enough NFL, to be honest with you, outside of the Ravens and maybe some of their, division rivals. Occasionally I'll watch a game, like if I have time, but he's got to be one of the better players, period, Kyle, in the NFL. I mean, he's just so unusual.
The only other player that I'll mention with the same versatility, and there's a difference here that I will explain, is Brian Branch. And he plays for the Lions. He's an incredible safety / nickel, but the difference is Hamilton plays a lot more half field safety with like split field responsibilities, and Branch does not. Branch occasionally does it. He doesn't play as large he doesn't have as much usage as Hamilton does in that way. But they're both equally. They both have a wide umbrella of things they're asked to do, and they do all of them at an elite level. And that to me really sticks out. I'm sure there's probably other safeties across the league that other teams' fan bases would say, hey, you should include them as well. For what I watch, those two are the best that I see at a wide range of responsibilities, but being super talented at all of them. With the difference being Hamilton now has transitioned into this elite half-field safety that, he clearly was not when he came into the NFL in his rookie year. He was not a half-field safety. He was better as a nickel DB, and used as an occasional blitzer and cover guy. I totally agree with you. I don't see any other Kyle Hamiltons walking around in the world.
Yeah. You got some good stuff coming up for us this week, Coach, with the Detroit matchup coming up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like my Twitter and email inbox is blown up with Lions content creators and people that I communicate with, and then Ravens ones as well. Would you like to do a preview? I'm not criticizing those people. They don't have the familiarity with the other team like I do. So I would like to accommodate everyone. I would, but there's only so much time in the day, as we found out this morning, right? I'm super excited. I think that it's worthy of a high level preview. And so I get it that like it's Wednesday morning as we record this. Not that this is what you're asking, but other people start to put previews out already on Wednesdays, and internally I scoff at those people. I will be honest with you. You have not on Wednesday already evaluated your team's film and then done enough film study on a team that you haven't watched any film of by Wednesday in a manner that's worthy of presenting to fans, presenting to the world. I have not. And I'm a person who watches the Lions every single week. I think it's ridiculous when people start talking about doing a preview on a team that they haven't even watched film of on Wednesday already. So I'm probably 24 to 36 hours from being able to produce something like that. Friday, Saturday is when I do that. That's when I enjoy it.
I'll be there.
I don't think it's going to be 2023. I'll just be honest with you. I think that, we're looking for a much better game than we got that day.
Okay. Now,
any final thoughts on the coverage? What's that?
I'm looking forward to it. The game and your pregame.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on our coverages and, where are we, I guess? Where do we think we'll be? You've got our Bills' performance defensively, over here, our Browns' performance over here. Obviously, we're somewhere in the middle in terms of who we really are. I personally think we're closer to the defense that played against the Browns. I guess that's optimistic. What do you think?
I think they've got a little bit of a find in Teddy Buchanan. I like the idea of him. Also, Trenton Simpson. I think we've got a little bit of an unexpected find in Trenton Simpson. I am concerned, though, moving forward about what we're showing, whether or not this bites us a little bit. What we're showing versus three receiver sides. A lot of cover three where the seams are threatened. I think we're showing that a lot. So I don't know if that's a disguise. I don't know if that is getting more pressure to the quarterback, or if we should be playing more match coverages. If we're going to play three, more match coverages on number two. But that is something I'll be watching against Detroit, against Kansas City.
I wonder about if Marlon is set to the Twins or Tripp's side, which he normally should be because he's the nickel. He'll collision people. He does not care about getting a contact down the field, and I don't either. I don't. I think that the way defensive football is supposed to be played is you're supposed to collision receivers. The NFL has clearly deterred people from doing so by rule. At 5 yards. So I love the fact that Marlon will do that. So some of those things that you're discussing, the coverages to three receiver side, I agree. I would hold the same concern or wonder, are we going to be able to play these things against Mahomes, Allen this week? Ravens fans aren't going to like me saying it, but Jared Goff is playing as good a football in the last year plus as every other quarterback in the league except the one who plays for us. Goff obviously can't do, three or four of the things that Lamar can do, but the completion percentages, the ability to diagnose defenses, and their system is one that is predicated on, and I can't prove this, and this will be my last point, sorry. Their system is predicated on having 2 or even 3 plays called in the huddle, and Goff gets them to the line and picks the right one. And now people say, well, that's the way quarterbacks have been for decades, right? Johnny Yu called his own game and stuff. Yes, but those calls on first down are these 2 or 3 calls. On the very next snap, 2nd and 4, it's a totally different trio of calls that Goff has got to be able to recall and know, okay, if I get this look, I want to run this. If I get that look, I want to run this. And then as a third possibility, I've got this other thing. And I can't prove all that. And I could be, way wrong, but I've seen enough in the last 2.5 years from Goff to watch him manipulate defenses. His work against the Vikings and Brian Flores, which is a very confusing defense. His work last year, go look at the stats, was the best in the league at dealing with the Flores defense. Totally shredded them compared to what everybody else was able to produce. So this is a serious challenge for our defense, in my opinion. I get it that Ravens fans are going to say, we're going to do this. Some Ravens fans are going to say, we're going to do the same thing to them we did in 2023. This is a different matchup, in my opinion.
That makes sense. To your point about Marlon and Alabama and Saban in particular, if you watch or if I watch Saban talk about coverages, he's not letting anybody run the seam. That's a big deal without getting hands on them or widening them.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't, and a couple of the plays that you showed, actually one that I did, our guys, because we're rolling down or we're dropping out, we're not able to collision or widen those guys because we're, it's a moving part. So in any case, man, I thank you again for joining me. This one was a little bit later in production, so that's my fault, but I feel pretty happy with what we were able to produce here. Do you?
Yeah. I'm really, I remain excited, and every Wednesday to get up and look at this stuff and look at it beforehand and learn what's going on the field. It's really fun.
Now next week our goal is to get rid of that StreamYard logo in the top right and use a different platform than what we're using. So that's going to be a little bit more coordination on my part. So I appreciate your patience with that, EA. So in any case, thank you guys for joining. If you enjoyed Inside the Coverage for this week, I know you enjoyed watching the film of the Browns, not just what we showed, but the whole game. It was fun to watch, especially once you realize that, our defense had them locked up. But if you enjoyed any of this, please let us know in the comment section, number one. Number two, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy listening to our thoughts on the Ravens coverages and what Zach Orr had the guys playing on a particular situation, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.